diamond under my umbrella. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Come here, rude boy, boy, can you get it up? Come here, rude boy, boy, is you big enough? I love the way you lie. I love the way you lie.
Women entrepreneurs and founders, business leaders, they are moguls, they are creating businesses, they are disrupting industries, and Rihanna is among them. She can now add billionaire to the top of her titles list.
Big news on Rihanna, the superstar singer and entrepreneur gaining a new title, Billionaire.
What happens when one of the biggest pop stars on planet Earth simply stops? When the world keeps screaming for new music, but she quietly builds a billion-dollar empire instead? When the hits fade, but the legacy grows? When the scandals erupt, but somehow she becomes more powerful than ever? To understand how Rihanna reached her impossible level of success without releasing an album for 8 years, you have to go back to where the story really begins. Not at Fenty Beauty, not at the Super Bowl, not even at Umbrella, but in a small house in St. Michael, Barbados, where a little girl named Robin Rihanna Fenty learned what survival looked like long before she learned what fame felt like. Born on February 20th, 1988, Rihanna grew up in a home filled with contradictions. Her mother, Monica, was steady and anchored. Her father, Ronald, was charismatic but unpredictable, battling addiction throughout Rihanna's childhood. She has described her upbringing not as broken, but as complicated, shaped by the chaos of loving a father who struggled daily to outrun his own demons.
I was able to realize that my father was probably one of the best fathers in the world. He taught me everything. And as awful as he was to my mom, at times, it didn't compare to how great he was as a father. And I had to come to terms with that.
These early wounds carved something permanent into her spirit. Toughness, forgiveness, emotional intelligence far beyond her age. Those qualities would later become her superpower. The thing that allowed her not only to survive the entertainment industry, but to dominate it. When Ronald Fenty passed away in 2024, Rihanna's tribute stunned the world with its honesty. She didn't rewrite history, didn't pretend the past wasn't hard. She spoke about grace, understanding, and the importance of presence. It became clear that Rihanna wasn't just building a global empire, she was rewriting a generational story. But before any of that, she was just a 15-year-old girl singing in a trio with her classmates. And fate, as always, was listening.
I am very proud. I never thought she would have been a singer. She sang all the time, but never thought she would be at this fighting with the heavyweights, you know?
Yeah.
One afternoon, American producer Evan Rogers, vacationing in Barbados, heard Rihanna sing, and within seconds, everything changed. He later said he instantly recognized the star quality radiating from her, an energy he called once in a lifetime. He didn't just hear talent, he saw inevitability. Rihanna flew to the United States to record demos, and at just 17 years old, she walked into a room that would shape her destiny forever. The Def Jam conference room where Jay-Z was waiting to hear her sing. She performed Pon de Replay, and the moment she finished, the room fell silent. Then Jay-Z gave the order that has since become legend: "Don't let her leave the building." They didn't. They signed her before sunrise. Because even then, Rihanna wasn't just talented, she was undeniable. Her debut single exploded worldwide. Pon de Replay reached #2 on the Billboard Hot 100, and by the time she released SOS from her second album, she was already becoming a consistent hitmaker. But in 2007, Rihanna did something bold. She stopped being who the industry wanted her to be and became who she truly was. Good Girl Gone Bad wasn't an album. It was a declaration, a hair flip, a leather jacket, and then Umbrella dropped. The world didn't just listen, it bowed. For 7 weeks straight, Rihanna sat at #1. She had arrived not just as a singer, but as an icon. But not even the brightest star can outrun real life forever. February 8th, 2009, the night of the Grammy Awards, became one of the darkest moments in Rihanna's life. What the public didn't see was the fear, the confusion, the emotional aftermath that no young woman, let alone one in the global spotlight, should ever have to endure. When the police photo leaked, the world witnessed her trauma in real time. But Rihanna did something extraordinary. Instead of collapsing, she transformed. She went into the studio just weeks later and began shaping Rated R, an album that wasn't afraid to bleed. Darker, harder, more emotionally raw. It was the sound of a woman refusing to be defined by what had been done to her. Her career didn't break, it evolved. And so did she. The next few years became a blur of global domination. Only Girl, What's My Name, We Found Love, Diamonds. Rihanna wasn't just releasing hits, she was releasing cultural moments. But even at her peak, she sensed something deeper calling, something bigger than pop charts, something that would change the landscape of beauty and fashion forever. In 2017, she unveiled Fenty Beauty, and in one night, she shifted an entire industry. 40 foundation shades, inclusive campaigns, innovation layered with authenticity. While other brands sold perfection, Rihanna sold representation, and the world bought it instantly. Within weeks, Fenty Beauty generated $100 million. Within months, it forced every competitor to rethink their entire business. And then, quietly, almost defiantly, Rihanna stopped releasing albums because she didn't need to anymore. She wasn't just an artist, she was an empire. But even empires grow in unexpected ways. In 2020, Rihanna fell in love, not with a fantasy, not with a headline, but with a friend. A SAP Rocky, someone who saw the woman behind the Mogul. Their relationship was private, real, and grounded. In 2022, Rihanna stunned the world with her pregnancy reveal and gave birth to her first son, RZA. Then came Riot in 2023. And finally, in September 2025, she welcomed a dream she'd carried for years. Her daughter, Rocky Irish, a billionaire mother of three. A global icon, a woman completely unbothered by industry pressure. Because Rihanna had already rewritten the rules of fame, and she wasn't done rewriting her story yet. By the end of 2009, the world knew Rihanna as the girl who survived a nightmare in public. But what most people didn't realize was that survival was only the beginning of her transformation. Trauma didn't break her, it rewired her. And the woman who stepped back into the spotlight after that year was not the same carefree teenage pop star from Pon de Replay. She was sharper, darker, more intentional, and far more dangerous creatively. Just months after the assault case dominated headlines, Rihanna walked back into the studio and made a decision that shocked her label. She refused to make another cheerful pop album. Instead, she wanted to tell the truth, even if it made people uncomfortable. That truth became Rated R. Released in November 2009, the album was a sonic mood shift. Gone were the island breezes and playful romance. In their place came paranoia, pain, rage, defiance, and emotional armor. Russian Roulette played like a confession wrapped in a heartbeat. Hard sounded like a woman daring the world to try her again. Critics were divided, but fans understood. This wasn't just music, it was a diary written in bass and bruises. And while the public debated her choices, Rihanna quietly did something far more important. She took back control of her image. No more letting the industry decide who she was supposed to be. Every hairstyle, every visual, every performance now carried intention. This was the moment Rihanna stopped being manufactured and started being authored. Then came Loud in 2010. And this time, she didn't hide the scars. She turned them into attitude. Only Girl, In the World, What's My Name with Drake, and S&M didn't ask for permission. They demanded space. Rihanna wasn't fragile anymore. She was unapologetically visible. Loud felt like a sonic victory lap after Survival. It was the sound of a woman reclaiming her body, confidence, and joy on her own terms. By 2011, with Talk That Talk, Rihanna had one of the most aggressive chart runs in pop history. We Found Love with Calvin Harris became a global earthquake, one of the best-selling singles of all time. At this point, Rihanna wasn't just dominating radio, she was flooding it. Every corner of pop culture had her voice attached to it. And the industry learned something important during this era. Rihanna didn't chase trends, she became them. But underneath the hits, Rihanna was still evolving. Unapologetic in 2012 told that story. Diamonds wasn't just a love song, it felt like a self-affirmation. The album debuted at #1, cementing Rihanna as not just a hit maker, but a permanent force. By then, she had more #1 singles than almost any artist of her generation, and she was still in her early 20s. Yet while music kept her visible, Rihanna was already preparing her next transformation. Hollywood came calling. Her role in Battleship in 2012 wasn't critically loved, but it showed something important. Rihanna didn't freeze under big budgets or blockbuster pressure. She could hold a camera. Then in This Is the End, she shocked people by leaning into comedy and self-parody. When she voiced Tipping Home, she proved she could reach children too. And when she showed up in Valerian, she moved into sci-fi. But the real breakthrough came in Ocean's 8 in 2018. Standing shoulder to shoulder with Sandra Bullock, Kate Blanchett, and Anne Hathaway, Rihanna didn't disappear. She shone. No longer the guest pop star, she was a legitimate screen presence. Still, the biggest shift in her life wasn't happening on movie sets. It was happening in boardrooms. In 2017, while most artists were focused on streaming numbers and tour cycles, Rihanna launched Fenty Beauty with a simple but revolutionary idea: makeup for everyone. Not 5 shades of brown, not a diversity edition. 40 foundation shades at launch. The beauty industry wasn't just unprepared, it was exposed. Years of exclusion were suddenly visible in sales charts. Within 40 days, Fenty Beauty made over $100 million, and overnight, every major cosmetic brand rushed to expand their shade ranges. Rihanna hadn't just entered the business, she forced an entire industry to admit its blind spot. A year later, she doubled down with Savage X Fenty. This time, it wasn't about faces, it was about bodies. Lingerie for every size, every gender expression, every shade. And instead of traditional runway shows, Rihanna turned Savage into cultural events. Music, dance, trans bodies, plus-size models, pregnant women, athletes. What Victoria's Secret once pretended to be, Rihanna actually built. By 2021, Forbes officially crowned her the richest female musician in the world with a net worth topping $1 billion. And here's the twist that stunned everyone. Rihanna hadn't released an album in years. Her wealth wasn't coming from music anymore. It was coming from ownership. While other artists were fighting labels for masters, Rihanna owned equity. And then, in 2020, her personal life quietly reset. After years of public romances and tabloid speculation, Rihanna fell in love with someone who already knew her. Not the superstar, not the brand, but the person. A SAP Rocky wasn't a sudden fling. They had been friends for years, collaborating, traveling, laughing in the background of each other's lives. When their relationship became public, it felt different. Quieter, grown, intentional. In 2022, Rihanna shocked the world again. Not with a song, but with a pregnancy reveal that rewrote fashion rules. Every outfit celebrated her body instead of hiding it. She didn't disappear, she expanded. And then came the moment nobody expected, Super Bowl 57. After 5 years away from live performance, Rihanna stepped onto the biggest stage in music. While pregnant, no guests, no distractions, just her catalog and her presence. 121 million people watched. It became the most viewed halftime show in history. And she didn't perform for validation. She performed as proof. Proof that she had never left power. She had only changed where she stored it. Months later, her second son was born, 2 sons, a growing family, a thriving empire, and still, fans begged for music. But Rihanna never rushed. Then, in 2025, the chapter nobody was prepared for arrived. A daughter, Rocky Irish, the one dream she'd whispered about in interviews for years. The balance she had imagined. The legacy now complete, not just in business, but in bloodline. Rihanna had built the empire. Now she was building the family to inherit it. And that's where her story truly shifts, from survivor to billionaire to mother of 3, redefining success all over again. By 2017, Rihanna had already conquered pop music in a way few artists ever do. Hit after hit, decade after decade, she had built one of the most dominant musical catalogs of her generation. But instead of chasing the next chart topper the way the industry expected, she made a move that stunned everyone. She didn't disappear because she fell off. She stepped back because she was building something far bigger than an album rollout. That year, she released Anti, an album that felt nothing like the commercial formulas that had once ruled her sound. It was moody, experimental, vulnerable. Work became a global smash, but the album as a whole felt like a statement of independence. It wasn't designed to dominate top 40 radio. It was designed to reflect where she truly was as an artist and a woman. And then, after Anti, she did what almost no superstar at her level ever dares to do. She stopped releasing music. Instead of chasing radio spins, Rihanna turned her attention to ownership. In September 2017, she launched Fenty Beauty, a cosmetics line built on a simple but radical idea. Beauty should be for everyone. At launch, Fenty released 40 foundation shades, instantly exposing how deeply the beauty industry had failed women with darker skin tones for decades. Other brands scrambled to catch up. Rihanna didn't just enter the beauty world, she forced it to evolve. Within 40 days, Fenty Beauty generated over $100 million in sales. By the end of its first year, it was already being called one of the most influential product launches in cosmetic history. Rihanna had done what years of activism alone could not. She proved that inclusivity wasn't just ethical, it was incredibly profitable. Then came Savage X Fenty, her lingerie empire. Again, she rewrote the rules. Instead of airbrushed fantasy bodies, she showcased real women, real sizes, real genders, real confidence. The Savage X Fenty fashion shows became cultural events on their own, pushing fashion into a more honest, fearless, and diverse space. By 2021, Forbes officially declared Rihanna a billionaire, not because of album sales, but because of ownership, equity, and vision. She had become the wealthiest female musician in the world without releasing new music in years. It was the ultimate industry plot twist. But her personal life was changing just as dramatically. After years of high-profile relationships that often played out in the public eye, Rihanna found something different with A$AP Rocky. They had known each other as friends for years before romance ever entered the picture. When they officially became a couple around 2020, the energy felt calmer, private, mature, built on real respect instead of headlines. In May 2022, Rihanna shocked the world again. This time not with a song, but with motherhood. She gave birth to her first son, RZA Athelston Mayers. But even pregnancy didn't look the way the world expected it to with Rihanna. She refused to hide her body. No oversized shirts, no boring maternity fits. She redefined pregnancy fashion with confidence, crop tops, body-hugging gowns, chains, heels, and full glam. She wasn't just pregnant, she was pregnant and unstoppable. Then came February 12th, 2023, the moment that officially sealed her status as a once-in-a-generation icon. Rihanna headlined the Super Bowl halftime show, marking her first live performance in over 5 years. And just minutes into the performance, millions around the world realized something incredible. She was pregnant again. While floating above the Super Bowl stage in red, surrounded by a sea of dancers, Rihanna revealed her second pregnancy to over 121 million viewers, making it the most watched halftime show in history. No costume changes, no guest artists, no gimmicks, just Rihanna, her catalog, and her presence. She turned what could have been a comeback performance into a cultural moment that merged power, motherhood, business, and art in real time. In August 2023, Rihanna and A$AP Rocky welcomed their second son, Riot Rose Mayers. 2 sons now, 2 legacies growing side by side. Rihanna embraced motherhood fully, with honesty about exhaustion, joy, fear, and transformation. She spoke openly about how becoming a mother reshaped her priorities, her patience, her sense of purpose. Yet even with 2 children, she didn't disappear. She expanded. In 2025, she voiced Smurfette in the animated Smurfs movie. While critics dismissed the film, Rihanna saw something else, a project her children could grow up watching their mother in. For her, that mattered more than reviews. And then, in September 2025, the chapter she had quietly dreamed of finally arrived. Rihanna gave birth to her 3rd child, a daughter named Rocky Irish. For years, fans had heard Rihanna casually mention that she wanted a girl one day. After 2 sons, her daughter arrived quietly, intentionally kept away from the public eye in the weeks that followed. But in November 2025, Rihanna re-emerged at the CFDA Awards alongside A$AP Rocky. Radiant, confident, unbothered, the embodiment of a woman who has nothing left to prove. In Paris soon after, the world watched her step into yet another phase of her life. Billionaire mogul, global icon, and mother of 3. By 2025, Rihanna had not released a full studio album in nearly a decade, yet her net worth stood at approximately $1.4 billion, not based on touring, not on radio dominance, but on ownership, branding, strategy, and patience. At the same time, controversy never fully disappeared. Fans still begged daily for R9. Critics questioned labor practices at Fenty factories. Others criticized Savage X Fenty's sizing claims or environmental impact. Rihanna addressed some critiques directly, ignored others completely, and continued to build on her own timeline. Because the truth was this: she was no longer playing the industry's game. She had changed the rules. As she reflected on her career in late 2025, celebrating 20 years in entertainment, Rihanna posted a simple but powerful message of gratitude. 2 decades after a 17-year-old girl from Barbados walked into Jay-Z's office and sang Pon de Replay, she had become a billionaire, a fashion architect, a beauty innovator, a cultural icon, and a mother raising 3 children in a world she now helps shape. Looking at her sons, RZA and Riot, and now her daughter Rocky Irish, Rihanna is no longer chasing validation, she's building legacy, teaching them about freedom, equity, resilience, boundaries, and self-worth. Teaching her daughter that she can lead industries without shrinking. Teaching her sons what strength looks like when it's gentle, grounded, and present. From surviving public trauma, to dominating global charts, to walking away from music without losing power, to returning for the world's biggest stage while pregnant, to building a billion-dollar empire based on inclusion, Rihanna's story is no longer just about music. It's about control. Control over image, control over timing, control over motherhood, control over wealth, control over peace. And in a world that once tried to define her by pain, scandal, or sound, Rihanna is now defining success on her own terms. And at the end of it all, Rihanna's story isn't about charts, trophies, or even billion-dollar empires. It's about transformation. About a girl from Barbados who walked through fire, rebuilt herself from the inside out, and rose into a woman who answers to no one but her own spirit. She's taught an entire generation that survival can be powerful, that reinvention can be joyful, and that motherhood and ambition are not opposites. They can bloom together. And now, with Rocky Irish in her arms, RZA and Riot by her side, and a partner who stands with her through every chapter, Rihanna isn't chasing the world anymore. The world is following her. Whatever she creates next, music, fashion, beauty, or something we can't even imagine yet, one thing is certain, Rihanna writes her own timeline, and we're just lucky to witness it. Thanks for watching. And if you want more stories just like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and let us know in the comments who you want us to cover next.